An even bigger programming change is at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Eastern, where Joy Reid's show, The ReidOut, ended tonight. And Joy is not taking a different job in the network. She is leaving the network altogether. And that is very, very, very hard to take. I am 51 years old. I have been gainfully employed since I was 12. And I have had so many different kinds of jobs, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. But in all of the jobs I have had, in all of the years I have been alive, there is no colleague for whom I have had more affection and more respect than Joy Reid. I love everything about her. I have learned so much from her. I have so much more to learn from her. I do not want to lose her as a colleague here at MSNBC. And personally, I think it is a bad mistake to let her walk out the door. It is not my call, and I understand that, but that's what I think. I will tell you, it is also unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows, as is Katie Fang on the weekend. And that feels worse than bad, no matter who replaces them. That feels indefensible, and I do not defend it. But there's just one other piece of it that you should know. From your side of the TV screen, you will mostly see changes in terms of who's in the anchor chair. And actually, everybody who's going to be in anchor chairs from here on out are great colleagues and great at what they do. And you are not going to be disappointed in who's on our air and what you're going to be seeing. But one thing you cannot necessarily see is that the people who get our shows on the air, they're really being put through the ringer. Dozens of producers and staffers, including some who are among the most experienced and most talented and most specialist producers in the building, are facing being laid off. They're being invited to reapply for new jobs. That has never happened at this scale in this way before when it comes to programming changes, presumably because it's not the right way to treat people and it's inefficient and it's unnecessary. And it kind of drops the bottom out of whether or not people feel like this is a good place to work. And so we don't generally do things that way. Maybe all of our folks, including most of the people who are getting this very show on the air right now, maybe they will all get new jobs here. And I hope they do. But in the meantime, being put in this kind of limbo, the anxiety and the discombobulation is off the charts at a time when this job already is extra stressful and difficult. It is not news for me to tell you that the press.
Rachel Matt.
Wait, 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, are we really gonna do it? I don't know. I'm about to do it. Really gonna do it? Oh no, I'm about to do it. Oh no. Let's go. Y'all, we about to go on here because it is the final show of the ReidOut. And so we got here, I got squad. Look at all the people. Okay, so look, we're about to have a wonderful show. I'm gonna get I gotta get in this chair because I actually have to have a microphone on me so that I can actually be heard, not just on this live, but actually on the show itself. So, you know, I had to wear my merch. I've got all my merch on because I even have a shoe. Hold on, let me show you a shoe. I hope you guys can see it because, you know, we have the best merch because, you know, I'm really good at that. So we're going to actually have a fabulous show tonight, y'all. We have so many great surprise guests, people that you love, people that you enjoy watching on the ReidOut all the time. They're going to be here.
Yeah, it is. You know, she handled that extremely well. Welcome. Good morning to another edition of Let It Be Known News. Good morning, Leah.
Good morning, Stacey, and good morning, Black America. How are you today? Happy Tuesday.
There we go. Black America.
Yeah, I know who I'm talking to.
Okay, there you go. But you know, it's Rachel Maddow was making a point, and I think she stopped short of making a larger point, which she started going into about who's behind those cameras, who's in those rooms, and I mean, it is a big point that we have lost people like Joy Reid, and Tiffany Cross was there, And don't forget, Rashida Jones was the first Black president there. Women, first Black period to be president of MSNBC. But you're losing people in front of the camera of color, and now the crumbling landscape that is mainstream media, as they continue to try and silence Black voices. Lester Holt um, is out at NBC Nightly News beginning June. Now, it appears that that was totally Lester's call. I don't think it was. I think that there was a deal made for Lester, and that he's going to stay on at Dateline NBC, which I actually watch and like a lot of well, I'll say some Dateline episodes. I think that Dateline has become a situation where they focus too much on white women victims. So they need to do talking about diversify. They need to diversify that. Not that we want more Black victims, but there are many Black victims out there that they can do stories on. But I see too many of the same story: the white man killing his white wife. It's this. It's and then but nonetheless, I think Lester made a deal.
Mhm.
And I like Lester. I actually worked with Lester for a minute when I was at MSNBC.
Mhm.
Was on a few of his weekend shows, and really nice guy, and very serious about his craft. Very serious newsman is Lester Holt. When he steps,
Right.
when those lights go on, Lester Holt, because it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde for real. I mean, he gets extremely serious about his craft. Unlike
Right. I
Lester.
think it's a couple takeaways for me. Joy lived up to her name last night. She has so much
Mhm.
joy. Although we know probably inside she was feeling a lot of emotions, but she lived up to why I think people resonated with her every day of the week is because she is a journalist and she understands her job, whether the sun is shining or not. Um, Another takeaway for me is that now is the time more than ever for us to support Black owned media. I mean, you have us in the mornings, right? You have Roland
Mhm.
Martin in the evenings from 6 to 8. And then on Thursdays, you have Native Pod. So there are spaces that actually speak to our community with no restrictions. So I think that we should definitely be amplifying that. And the last thing is that it's not just Joy that's being affected. Let's remember the federal workers. There is a mandate to take Black jobs,
Mhm.
and it's happening on a federal and media level. And so, as we see this happening, we definitely want to support those Black shows and keep the federal workers or those who oppose the Trump administration. Like, look at what happened to Pastor Jamal Bryant. They had a poster of him in the White House with all the Black folks. So they are threatening us to not speak against or whatever.
Mhm. They certainly are. It's overt. It's no longer like they say dog whistles. It's no longer something where you have to guess at. It is extremely um overt. RNG says he would not have done that last show. I thought it was important she did, RNG. I have to disagree with you. One of the rare times I disagree with you. I think it was very important she did that last show. And I thought it was such a statement that she brought others like Tiffany Cross in there, because Tiffany was unceremoniously dumped because she was very much like Joy, outspoken, unapologetically with her Blackness. And I love I love how I have to tell you, Niel, um, you and your LA stuff. I was never, and not still not into, you know, s- Kendrick Lamar and all that stuff. But I gotta
That's
tell you,
okay. The
I'm
world is.
enjoying. No, it's true. But no, my point though is that that has become such a fight song, say strong type performance, a Black performance as you can get, and you've seen uh Joy come out and they did a little thing of, the same, a parody of it, or if you will, or whatever. And it really hits you and makes you understand that more and more. Because I remember I told you when he first did that performance, I feel like I'm super black, but I didn't really get it. But now, as the days have passed and the
Right.
weeks have passed, you get it, and
Mhm.
you see what's happening. You get it.
And
So
and
I
and
I
and
really
and
appreciate
if
it.
we're gonna talk about Kendrick a little bit, I just wanna uplift to your point, it's art. And art is interpretive, and sometimes it takes you a minute to catch it. He is a
Mhm,
Pulitzer Prize winner. And
mhm,
so he gave you something that still speaks today, just like the song "We Gonna Be All Right." And he had that picture of the album in front of the White House with the hood,
mhm.
looking, to some people it's intimidated, to some of us it's just culture and where we come from. But that's just what he does. And I'm so glad that in a time of hip hop where you have artists that are just talking about nothing, drinking, clubbing, butt lifts, just
Mhm.
anything but what needs to speak to these young people. You have somebody like a Kendrick Lamar that is changing the narrative and bringing a level of consciousness back to hip hop.
See, even David Youngblood, David says, I was not a fan of Kendrick, and he says, quote, I thank God for that performance. I've grown from it. Um, he knew, like you, to your point, Kendrick knew exactly what needed to be done and did it. And and it's like, look at where we are. Look where we are.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, Joy coming out to, are you really about to do it? When you hear that, it's like, oh boy, it's like a chill that goes through you, because you
Mm.
know that you about to get somebody's you know, best, or about to get somebody's hit. So
Mhm.
it resonates now more than ever. But to your point, you got all these federal workers, and I know it's not lost. See, the thing is, I know it's not lost on a Joy Reid what's happening with these federal workers. I know it's not lost on a Tiffany Cross what's happening with these federal workers, because again, a good majority of federal employees, federal civilian employees, are Black.
Right. That is so true. Like I said,
So
yeah, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again. I believe Donald Trump is sending us a message, because when Michelle Obama said, who's going to tell him that one of them jobs might be a Black job? And it went viral and we were all posting it and like, and now he's like, joke's on y'all. I'm going to show you who's going to get a Black job, and it ain't going to be none of y'all Negroes.
and that
That's just
is
how I'm taking it.
no, and that is again why it's so dangerous to. We talked yesterday. Greer played uh, uh, Gil Scott Heron,
Mhm.
um, and I mentioned this yesterday. We have to stop just having our ears tickled when you hear Michelle Obama say what she said about them Black jobs. Um, y- you have to put it in perspective. They're not saying it to tickle your ears. Gil Scott Heron didn't say that to tickle your ears. Didn't do that performance to tickle your ears. Michelle didn't say that to tickle. It was a reason they said it. And so in that moment, right, when Martin Luther King said he had a dream, in that moment you had to appreciate it, and you had to act on it. And so we can't just sit here and just have, oh, that was great, and move on to the next thing if there's a message behind it. And there was a huge message in going back to, just to bring it full circle, to Kendrick Lamar's halftime show.
For sure, 100%. I think that there might be a college course taught, because they are teaching college courses on every. Beyonce got a college course. Rihanna has a college course. I'm pretty sure Kendrick is next, because what he has done just in the music industry, in hip hop, and in social justice, like that spoke to the plight of Black folks. It spoke to racism in America. And so I'm pretty sure there'll be a college course about it.
Yeah, and Trixie says the Akai or a Drewski, if they speak up on their platforms, that will really reach the crowd. The problem with them, they seem like it's all about funny for them. It's all about the laugh for them, and they should take a cue from their peers, those who came before them, and those who are still around, like Eddie Murphy, like Dave Chappelle, especially Dave Chappelle, because Dave Chappelle will make you laugh, he'll make you angry, but he will there's always a message in what Chappelle is telling you.
Yeah, he makes
Um,
you think. He's brilliant.
Very much brilliant. And even, we talked a bit about Richard Pryor and folks like that with J. Anthony Brown. Um, as funny as they were, Bernie Mac was the same way. As funny as he was, he could make you think about some things.
Right. I disagree with Jay about they would fit in right now, because I really do believe like a Dick Gregory, a Paul Mooney, they would be canceled. The stuff that they said, even though it was speaking truth to power and they told no lies, it's just in this climate we're in of you can't say this, you can't say that, cancel culture. I just don't know how that comedy would fare in today's society.
Yeah, and Bobby Henry, the chairman of the NNPA and publisher of the West Side Gazette, is watching, and he says that they are not like us, includes those who look like us, and we had that last Friday.
Right.
We had, look, that is, Empress says that is why we need to have our own businesses and we need to build our own communities. And I think that, Neil, I think that it's coming to that. It's
I
coming
hope
to that. I
so.
think that there's a realization. We're seeing, the NAACP, the Urban League, all these other entities, the Black Press, NMPA, having these meetings on a regular
Mhm.
basis now. I think it's coming to that because it has to. It has to. And those who are, as Bobby says, that look like us, that are not like us, they gotta be forced to get on board, and it's gonna be up to us if they're gonna be allowed to get on board. It better not be up
Hey,
to me, but
hey, Moses, aka Harriet Tubman, she left a lot of Negroes, okay? And the ones that went with her and they wanted to turn around, she told them, if you think about turning back, I got the shotgun for you back. Because we can't risk you going back and telling our secrets. So either you keep it moving or
yeah,
you gotta go.
you
Or you
gotta
gonna
go.
get left at the plantation.
Yeah,
We're gonna leave you at the plantation, but if you go, you can't turn back. Okay? Can't turn back.
yep. Can't turn back. Yesterday, I saw, excuse me, a video I'd never seen before. Um, and Greer says I had to stop for a minute because I wanted to see what our fearless, faceless producer says. I'm on the Harriet energy, she says.
Me
Um,
too.
Yeah, I know y'all are some militants. Bobby Henry, we got some militants here with Niel and Greer. As you probably know that Greer is a militant. You probably had to guess whether or not at times Niel was I've never guessed it. I've always known Niel was a militant. So, but I watched a video yesterday that I had never seen before. And I'm surprised I never seen. Oh, Greer says you're worse than her, Niel. So
I don't think so. But well, you know what? For this type of movement in this type of climate, I'll be that. I'll take it, you know? Yeah, I'll take it. And it gets
okay.
scary because it in this time of climate, it's like, how far will you go?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people during civil rights lost their lives or they got beat up, you know, for standing up. And we're definitely coming to that time. I know yesterday, just before you move on, I saw that police officer that was during the Capitol riots, when those
Mm.
degenerates took over the Capitol. And the Proud Boy that got released, the president of the Proud Boys, for some reason, he ironically was at the same place, the same hotel that this police officer was at, and he was antagonizing him and talking crap to him.
Right.
And so we are just living in such a hostile climate. And these Trumpsters, these Klan folks that are supporting Donald Trump, they are getting bolder and bolder each day. So to the point of you never know how far we're going to have to go. We just don't know.
Yeah. I listen. I would not make it. I'd be like, you remember Eddie Murphy? Was it Delirious or Raw? One of the two. I ain't bailing no hay. You bail your own hay. See, I'd be that and they shoot me on the spot. But I was gonna say yesterday I saw a video that I had never seen. I was surprised I'd never seen it. Because we talked about Lauryn Hill yesterday, and everybody who knows me know that I had a 1-year love affair with Lauryn Hill. I was deeply in love with Lauryn Hill for about a year, 2 years when she released Miseducation. Um, but there was a video of her, the Fugees, and Roberta Flack doing the
Mm.
classic "Killing Me Softly," and they absolutely killed it, Niel. And I said, wow, why did I never see that before? But sadly, of course, we saw so many tributes yesterday. Roberta Flack, and let's not forget my funky sensation, Gwen McCrae also
Mm.
died. And Jerry the Iceman Butler passed away as well. So in these last few days, we've lost 3
Well,
serious
Jasper,
icons.
let's not forget
Yep,
Jasper
that's not
Isley
4.
died
Yep,
yesterday. So, and we need a
yep.
caravan of love right now. Okay. We need
Tell
that
me about
caravan of love.
Chris Jasper as well. Wow, it's been 4 in the last what 3 or 4 days. Roberta Flack was 88 years old, and I didn't realize that either. Um, a nice long life for the great Roberta Flack. Gwen McCrae was 81.
Mhm.
Um, Rocking Chair and Funky Sensation. Um, and what was Jerry Butler was 85.
Mhm.
And I believe Chris Jasper was 76.
Mm.
Now I could be off by a number there with Chris, but it's really still it's sad to see our legends pass away, and
And
all in
if
the
you
same time period.
Right, and if you haven't seen the Luther documentary, I recommend it. It is deliciously good. And one of the
Wait a minute.
stories it is I've watched it like 3 times, because Luther contributed so much just to our culture, from Sesame Street to when commercials had jingles. And one of the fun facts we learned was that it was Roberta Flack who pushed him into his solo career. So we thank Miss Roberta Flack for that, because
Oh,
Luther
thank
gave us some
you.
hits.
Yeah. He gave us hits and he gave us a voice that can never be duplicated.
Mm-mm.
This guy was just amazing. And yeah, I saw the documentary too, and it was absolutely great. You said deliciously good.
It was. It was so good because it brought back so many memories as a child for me, when my
Yeah.
aunts and my mom used to when records were in, and they put that
Yeah.
Luther record on, and he would just go. I mean, and then the time between him and Anita Baker, when they got along, but they didn't get along, and they went on tour together. It was just, that was such a good time in America. It
It was
really
such a good
was.
time in America.
Because
um,
if you think about it, we were just fresh out of like civil rights, like set 80s, you know what I'm saying? So we
70s.
were reaping the benefits of what the civil rights movement had did for us, and we were kind of moving into that and stepping into that. And so my grandparents were happy that they were able to make a better life for for their kids. And then I came along as a grandkid. It was just a good time to be alive in America.
I have to mention this. Oh, well, first let me say this. RNG notes that Roberta Flack graduated from a great HBCU, Howard University. HU, you
Okay.
know.
Grambling in the house though, but I love a good
Grambling now.
HBCU.
um, And oh, by the way, Bobby Henry, if you're still listening, I got a chance to see your cues the other day. They did they thing at my daughter's high school. They was actually celebrating HBCUs and all of the fraternities and sororities. The Deltas was there, AKAs were there, the Qs and others is there, and it was impressive. It was absolutely impressive. I have to bring this up, because this is absolutely um, it's funny, and it's serious at the same time. Screens at the
Mhm.
U.S. Department of oh gosh, we'll get to that too. But screens at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development were apparently hacked yesterday, displaying the message, quote, long live the real king, while an AI video of President Trump sucking the toes of Elon Musk played in the background. Now, this video had been circulating on social media, and it made its way into the federal offices of the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And the dictator is not happy.
I just think about how we look across the world. We look like idiots. The country that led the world is now the joke of the world. And it's insane. It's insane. But I thought it was funny because I bet you we would. It's a comedy show in the White House. That, like the show The West Wing. I bet you it's so much chaos, and the right doesn't know what the left is doing. And we needed this. We needed this, and it just shows just how fragile our infrastructure is within these government agencies. Because how is that able to even get on the screen?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it just tells you, and they're investigating, they're spending taxpayer money investigating, who did it so we can get rid of them and, or worse, because Trump had already been agitated with folks calling Elon the real president or the co-president and stuff like that. But it's interesting because there's a book that just came out
Mhm.
called First Buddy. Um, and wait, I don't know if it's called First Buddy, but it was he mentioned in the book, he called Elon First Buddy, right? Michael Wolff wrote the book, and the book actually is titled All or Nothing: How Trump Recaptured America. And he
Mhm.
revealed that there has been several instances in which Trump has been left shaking his head on the antics of Elon Musk. Um, he was, in one instance, they described him wearing a black Make America Great Again hat
Mhm.
and untucked t-shirt, bounced around the stage. And we probably remember that while exposing his stomach. And Trump was like, what the F is wrong with this guy? And why doesn't his shirt fit? And then it goes into other real serious stuff about these security agents that Musk walks around with. And at one point, Musk was asked did he want to shake hands and say hi to Vice President JD Vance, and Musk was like, I really have no interest in speaking with that guy. Um, and you never see the three of them together: Trump, Musk, and Vance.
Well, Vance is laying low. He's hoping that the two of them explode, literally, and then he could just ease on down into the Oval Office. Which is
Yeah.
not which, if you're thinking strategy, that's a smart play. I'd stay out the fray too and just wait it out.
Listen, I totally believe that Vance will be president before long. I
Mm.
totally believe that. I just think this Heritage Foundation plans go beyond Donald Trump, and Donald Trump, I really believe, was a means to an end for them, and they have gained what they've just about finished gaining everything that they wanted to gain, and at some point, I just don't think he's going to be useful to them anymore. I think that he's going to be moved out. And
Mm.
that's just me. That's just
Uh,
me. I mean,
well,
I know that there are conspiracy. That sounds very conspiracy theorist like, whatever. That sounds very Greer like, but I just believe that.
well, Stacey, you brought up the Divine Nine a few minutes ago, and we have somebody here that is a member of the Divine Nine.
All
She's
right.
also she's also co-chair of the Black Church PAC. And she is the co-author of this book that I encourage everybody to read, For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Politics. And she is the former co-chair CEO of the DNC. Let it be known, family, welcome Bishop Leah Daughtry.
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing?
Morning.
Good. Thanks for joining us this morning. Let's go back a little bit, Bishop Daughtry. Were you watching Joy Reid last night? And give us your thoughts and takeaways.
Absolutely. I joined with my sisters in the Black Women's Leadership Collective, and we did a watch party. So there were 5,000 of us on our live stream last night watching Joy, and of course offering our commentary along the way. It was, I think, a masterclass in journalistic excellence, from her opening monologue where she set the stage for what we are all experiencing today, through the guests that she gave to us, and then the commentary at the end, right to the very ending moments in what was truly a class act where she named her team. The people who helped the show to run all of these years, and really reminded us that none of us are an island. And for everybody, from the interns to the makeup people, to the producers, to the directors, to shout them out, call their names, put their names into it, was just pure joy. It's classic joy. And, really, it was a bittersweet moment as we came to wrestle with that she's not going to be there every night anymore to give us these facts. And in this age of mis and disinformation, having a trusted source of information, of resources, of truth telling that we weren't getting anywhere else is going to be a real loss for our communities. And so, our hashtag is we need joy. And we want to see her and support her on all the platforms where she's going to be. But, we also want to call out MSNBC for the continued way in which they are removing Black voices from their airways, starting back when Karen Finney was on. Then it was Melissa Harris Perry, and Tiffany Cross, and now Joy Reid. This is the fourth instance of a Black woman's voice being removed from the airways. And so we want to call attention to that and really hold them to account for how they are using and misusing our voices.
Something when you have the white host like Rachel Maddow call out the network for it's getting rid of these Black faces and voices. But then you have Morning Joe, whose ratings have plummeted for years, have been plummeting for years. And they make the move to go to Mar-a-Lago and kiss the ring, as it were, and they appear as safe as ever. Let's talk about that a little bit. How do you reconcile? How do we reconcile that?
When you look at the fact, exactly what you said, that with plummeting ratings, who watches Morning Joe? I don't know who watches. But up against Joy Reid and others who have had solid ratings, what we are looking at is just another example of the myth of the meritocracy. This is not about who's qualified, as the president has clearly, actually our co-presidents have clearly been demonstrating over these last 30 days. This is not about whether you've earned it, as we see with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Chief C.Q. Brown, a 4-star general who was dismissed in favor of a 3-star somebody. So this is not about what you've earned. This is about race. This is about who they like and who they don't like, and who conforms and who doesn't conform. And we got to pay real attention to that, as they are dismissing federal workers who have been in their jobs, who have made this government run without regard to qualifications or, whether they did a good job, performance. They're letting go people who have high performance reviews. So we're not talking about what people have earned and what people deserve. This is about a myth of the qualified white man versus everybody else, and them trying to hang on with their fingernails to the power that they have gained over the years as the world becomes browner, blacker, and more female.
Bishop Daughtry, you, former CEO of DNC, very involved in the party. You've seen many administrations, and everything that you're saying is negative. But we know that for some reason, the DNC has a communication problem. Currently, the party now has new leadership. Where do you see the party going from here to kind of take back what seems like they're missing in communication?
Yeah, I think it is a well-established fact by anybody who wants to tell the truth that we have a communications issue. I don't think that we have a values issue or even a policy issue. I think the way that we communicate with the American people has not stayed consistent with the times, that we've relied on past practices to carry us through and not made the necessary adjustments to be in the communities, one, who have been loyal to us, and to continue to invest in the Democratic Party, to continue to invest in African American voters and Latino voters who have been consistent with us over the years. And now we are seeing inroads because we don't make the investments. But also, we got to go to where the voters are in with messages that they understand, in the language that makes sense to them, to talk about the things that they care about. I'm talking about rural communities. I'm talking about white working class people, because Black working class people have been with the Democratic Party. So when they talk about working class, it is sticks in my craw that there's this assumption that somehow Black people are not part of the working class. And so we got to make some pivots. I mean, that's just the truth. And I think for us, as those of us who consistently vote Democrat, we got to demand something different and understand that the leaders of the Democratic Party are not always the people on Capitol Hill or at their state capitol or sitting in the state party office. I'm a Democrat. Those of us who are watching who are Democrats, we are leaders in the Democratic Party as well. So when we talk about what the Democratic Party is doing, should be doing, I take that personally. What should I be doing as a Democrat to help us advance the messaging and the policies and the principles that we stand for that clearly have been working? And as my friend Earl says, listen, if the Democrats weren't doing anything over the last 50 years, then what is it exactly that the Republicans are dismantling? They're dismantling something. And it's the work that the Democratic Party has been putting in: Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We see them dismantling it day by day, inch by inch. So
Medicaid is on the docket today.
On the docket today as they do this budget resolution. And you see the meanness, it's just simple. It's not even a big word. The meanness of actually saying that American citizens, we're just going to take away their health care. They're poor already. They're pressed already. And so now we're just going to take away any means that they have to even see an emergency doctor. And more than that, Social Security. I paid into the Social Security system.
Right.
I want my money back. The government not giving me nothing. I've been paying all these years. And now they're talking about stripping away the money I put in. I want my money. I'm getting to that meeting. I want my money.
Run me my money.
Run me my check. I don't know. So what are we talking about here? That they are now dismantling these systems, and it's just mean. There's no other word for it. It's mean, it's small, it's evil spirited, that we would kick people when they're down, that we would take people's money that they've paid in, that we're saying old people can't have health insurance. Just what kind of country are we? That we don't want children to have school lunch? Come on.
School lunch, yeah. That was a staple when I was growing up. I mean, you had, not only did you have school lunch, but during the summer you had free lunch, the free lunch programs and stuff.
And there are lots of communities in America where if there's no school lunch or free lunch in the summertime, the children don't eat.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the point of it. That was the point of it.
Right. We really saw that during COVID too.
Yeah, we saw it during COVID as well. But let me ask you this. You know, we talk about and have had recently discussions, if you want to call it that. Neil wouldn't call it a discussion, with Black folks who strongly support what's going on with this administration. How you're in the community, you are, you certainly have you don't just dip your toes in. You are fully invested in the community. How do you talk to individuals like that?
People are entitled to their opinions, and everybody's got what they think and what they feel. And one of the senators used to say years ago, everybody's entitled to their own set of opinions. They're not entitled to their own set of facts. And I think for a lot of folks in this moment, particularly those of our people who voted for President Trump, I'm like, okay, well, we're going to see. We're going to see, and we're going to see when all of his policies are implemented and tomatoes are $10 and your tequila done tripled in price. And you have the real impact. And people talk about the federal government and it's too yeah, the federal government is not just in Washington. Federal governments across this country, and we are all going to have friends and neighbors who are going to lose their jobs. And with the budget that the Congress is passing, they won't have any safety net of Medicaid, of SNAP benefits. We are all going to know someone who's been impacted, if it's not we ourselves, if it's not our parents who can't stay at the home no more because there's no more Medicaid, and mama got to move in with us while we take care of her and adjust our lives because we can't afford home health care. So, it's like, all right, we just gonna, you voted for who you voted for, you got the government. I hope you get the government you voted for. And sometimes you just can't have an argument, and you're just gonna have to let the days play out and let folks see what's what. I saw one of the Black Republican commentators on one of the network news shows saying, "I voted for this, but they firing the wrong people. My friend got fired." Like, what were they supposed to take a voter roll and say you okay? And no, we don't do that. So. Yeah, I think the reality of all of this is going to kick in. And so I don't spend a lot of time arguing with people about it. It's like, okay, check me in. Let's check in 3 months. Let's check in 6 months and see if you got what you voted for. And if this is really what you're getting.
All right. Let's talk a little faith and politics. I have a personal question. I want to get some guidance from the bishop right now. I want to talk a little bit about prayer. Is it okay to pray for the wrath to come upon Donald Trump and his administration? Or how should we be praying? How should we be praying, Bishop Daughtry? I need to know.
Wait a minute. You're supposed to love your enemy.
I mean, hey, I'm human. And I know it's a lot of people who have this question.
Here's what I pray. I pray for God to be God and for God to do what God does best. And all of those kinds of cosmic judgments about I don't like to pray evil on people because I do believe in reciprocity in the universe. And so I just pray that God's justice will meet everyone where they are. And if the God I believe in is the God that I worship and the God that I serve, then I know that the scripture says God is angry with the wicked every day. God has a special interest and love and concern for all of his children, but most particularly those who find themselves at the short end of the stick, those for whom justice and these governmental systems don't work. Much of Jesus's ministry was about the powers that be, whether they were the religious leaders or the political leaders, and how they treated the people unfairly. And so, my friend Aubrey Hendricks, who wrote a wonderful book called The Politics of Jesus, he says, treat the people's needs as holy. We are reflections of the Most High God. And so our need for clean air and clean water and safety and health in our bodies are holy things. And those who do not provide the things that treat the people's needs as holy, that see all the people as holy, are in violation of the rules and the laws of the Most High God, and they have to expect a consequence from their actions.
Well, I hope it happens here on earth, not in the afterlife.
That would be so good to see, wouldn't it?
It would be so good. But I want to talk to you about.
Wait, Neil, you know what? Where do you, Bishop Daughtry? Where do you have your service at? Because Neil, you should have her up there with you, because it sounds like she
Hey.
needs a thing.
I will
She
make
needs.
sure you get a schedule where I'm gonna be.
I mean, that's a fair question, okay? The saints need to know.
It's a fair question. And we
Uh,
all are asking, I think, where's God in this moment? When is God showing up in this moment? And my answer is God shows up where we are. And so it shows up through us. God's not coming down in a thunderbolt. God works through each of us. And so what are you doing to reflect the values, the grace, the mercy, the justice of God in the place where you are? And so that may mean protesting. It may mean voting. It may mean reading books to children. It may be all of the, but where are you showing up as a reflection of the Most High God and God's values?
She puts up with me every day, so that might get her some. that might give her some leeway there.
But since we're talking about church, let's talk about the Black Church PAC. And what is the role of the Black Church PAC during this Trump administration? What are you guys up to?
We see ourselves continuing our work to be a source of information, trusted information for the people that we serve. We've been engaged now in a series of webinars. We did one a couple of weeks ago, just helping folks understand the executive orders and how they impact us as people of faith, as church leaders. We have one coming on March 3rd about the divestment and boycotts. As you know, one of our board members, Pastor Jamal Bryant, has launched the Target Fast, which begins on March 4th. We're going to be talking about that, but also other boycott and divestment strategies. What's the point of a boycott? Well, what do we hope to achieve in all of these? Everybody's talking about a boycott, Walmart, this, that, one, the other. What's the point? When do you do it? When is that the best strategy? Are there other strategies to deal with these folks who are rolling back their commitments to the values that we have come to trust them for, they have, or the commitments that they have made to us? So that's on March 3rd at 7:00. We'll be continuing to do those so that we can provide information to people that will help them in the communities where they are. We're also going to continue uplifting our prophetic voice, which is speaking truth to power, speaking truth in our communities, making sure that our folks have what they need to hold folks accountable to their values, to the reasons we put them in office, to the reasons we go to their store. So we're a source of information, a source of education, a source of prophetic calling, and a source of priestly intervention where people need help. We all have members who are threatened either by the federal cuts, because their healthcare is on the line, because their schools are losing funding, because they may be documented immigrants who are now under attack. And let's be clear, immigrants are not only Latino. I'm from Brooklyn. We got African and Caribbean immigrants who are a crucial part, a crucial, critical part of the fabric of our community. And so, and they're documented. And now we're coming after documented folks. People who've been here, who have their papers, who got their social security numbers, who pay their taxes, now they are under threat. So the Black Church PAC will be championing these issues, making sure folks have the information they need, making sure we're a trusted voice in the community, and that we are pressing for the issues that reflect the values that we believe in, which are the values we find in our sacred text.
You know, it's obviously a very polarized atmosphere now and polarized environment. How do you reconcile differing political views within the diverse faith communities? It seems like you hear one faith, they're talking about this, like Trump went to the I guess it was a Catholic church, and he didn't like what it was a woman priest. He didn't like what she had to say, and all of a sudden she's disappeared. She's not with the church anymore, etc. And then you see this black MAGA guy, preacher, whatever, black preachers for Trump. How do you reconcile these different political views with these different faiths?
But it's the same God. We're praying to the same God.
Are we?
Same Bible.
Yeah, different, but it's different interpretations. And so you have to, one of the fundamental questions for me is which God are you praying to? Are you praying to the God of the slave masters who used scripture to keep us in bondage and to justify their holding of slaves? Are you praying to the God Pharaoh was praying to? What God are you praying to? Are you praying to the God of Bull Connor? Because he was in church every Sunday. What God are you praying to? The God that of those who sat outside the encampments of slaves and in the motherland, had their church built right outside where they had people shackled inside? What God are you praying to? Because that's not the God of my understanding. So that's not the God I read in the text. So what God is it? And I think that's where the division comes in, because we pray in the different gods. Our understanding of God is different. I don't know about a God who holds people in bondage. I don't know about a God that blesses lynchings. I don't know about a God that is at the lynching tree while you sing hymns pouring gasoline over a man. We got two different understandings of who God is. And until we reconcile that in the body of Christ, there will always be a rift. There will always be a division. And it's one that God's own self is going to have to settle. And we'll settle it on Judgment Day. But I'm not going to be, and I will not be in community with people who serve a God who believe that I am less than, that I do not have the same breath of God that they have. Then we serve in two different gods, and there cannot be a reconciliation until there is repentance.
That was church. Okay, we having some church this morning. Didn't even know it. Let's talk about. You brought up Pastor Jamal Bryant, and when they had the Black History celebration at the White House last week, some of the Black folks had a poster of Jamal Bryant, taunting him, or I don't know if they were trying to send a message to him. What do you think about the climate? And are you fearful, or, for leaders who speak up against Donald Trump?
We are in very dangerous times right now. And so I think we all have to be concerned about anybody, whether they are preachers, leaders, whoever, that is choosing to voice their opinion that may be contrary to what's happening. That's the times we're living in these countries. And while it creates the environment that allows those who may be having mental challenges or other kinds of challenges to feel emboldened, to feel free to take physical action against folks. And that's concerning. And we have to be mindful of the language that is being used. We have to be mindful of the environment that it creates, that unleashes and emboldens those who are not, who among us who are balanced. And so, yeah, I saw that clip of the folks at the White House with the picture of Jamal, and I thought it was despicable. It was dangerous that they went in. First of all, how they get the sign in? I mean, what's the rules now at the White House? How you get that even in 2 months ago? You couldn't have gotten there with no sign on no stick, or you couldn't. That wouldn't have been allowed. So how was that allowed to be in? And as they are celebrating the confirmation of the new FBI director, who has admitted he's got a hit list and all these other things, then they bring up the sign of Pastor Jamal as though inviting the FBI director to investigate him, to come after him, to target him. Unacceptable. And we are not going to stand for it. And that as Black leaders, we will protect our own. We're speaking against it. We're not, we're going to take action against it to make sure that we are all safe and whole. And we're going to, and as Pastor Jamal preached on Sunday, we ain't scared. We ain't scared. We've been through difficult times before as leaders. We'll take the precautions we need to take, but it's not going to silence us. is not going to silence any of us from doing the work that we feel called by God to do, and to hold this government to account for how it cares for God's people.
I've always said evil lives a long time. And so what is motivating? You chaired the DNC, and you've seen a lot in politics. You've seen a lot from both sides. Obviously, you've kept your eye on the other side, Republicans. But what is motivating? What is the top motivator you believe is keeping these Republicans in line with Trump, although they're on record in previous years disavowing him? I saw those. We talked about those lawmakers who had these town halls in which the constituents were really getting on them. And some of them are spinning it this morning as if, no, it's just that they don't understand certain things, but they do support what's going on, when they clearly did not support what is going on. We played a clip yesterday of someone saying we need or what John Lewis would have done. He would have gone to jail by now, and things of that nature. What do you believe is motivating these people to still go against? I mean, he talked about the wives of some of these Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, made fun of their wife. That's the last straw for many, right? That's like saying, yo, mama. What's keeping them?
I think it is the desperate quest for power combined with fear. I tell you, some days I think that Donald Trump and these MAGA people got files on everybody, and there's something in the files they don't want to come out. But I also think that they've fallen in love with this idea of power, and so they are willing to suffer the degradation of having your wife called names, having your children called out. They're willing to deal with that so that they can have a title in front of their name, and so that they can have whatever, comes along with whatever accoutrement comes with being a U.S. senator or a governor. And so they will suffer the embarrassment, black and white, because Tim Scott has certainly been the target of President Trump. And the thing that I don't understand is they stand right next to him as he is disrespecting and degrading them.
Yes, and that is what part of what drove that question.
And because the people I know would have been like, "And who are you talking to?"
Right. Right.
No, I'm not going out like this. You're not going to embarrass me on this stage with my people, calling me and my wife. I don't know no black men like that would have stood there and allowed that to happen. You must want power so much. You must have this unquenchable thirst for power and fear of retribution, or what you think retribution might be.
But have you seen this? I'm sorry, but have you seen this with prior Republican presidents or Democratic presidents, for that matter, too? Have you ever seen anything like this? You've been around this game for a while.
It's brand like God's mercies. It's brand new every day. It's like, they did what? I watched the town hall of the gentleman in Georgia where his constituents were, they were going in with facts and figures. And one woman was very upset about the new voting laws they're trying to pass that would require you to have a birth certificate that matches with your current ID. And white woman, and she said, I took my husband's name. So no, my birth certificate does not match my ID. So I'm going to be disenfranchised. And they estimate that 69 million women will lose their right to vote because their birth certificate doesn't match their current ID, which is their married name. She argued this point, and he told her she didn't understand the legislation. She had the legislation. She's like, no, it says this. He said, that's not what it says. She says, I'm reading it. This is what it says. And it's like the audacity to tell me that what I'm reading isn't what I'm reading. So there's also an arrogance here that says, I know more, I know better, I know something you don't know. And so let me be the benevolent congressperson and the benevolent leader here and pass some crumbs to the children. And let me teach you all of this. And this is a moment, I believe, for us to take our power back, to reclaim our power and say, no, I know what I read, and I will not be duped. I will not be deceived. I'm going to do what I need to do to protect my community, protect my family, protect myself. And so you're going to have to go in November. I'm going to have to make a different decision because I will not be condescended to. I will
That
not be
part.
informed by you.
That part. Before we let you go, I want to bring it back up to a high note. And you do an amazing conference each year called I Am Power Rising. Will that be returning this year?
It will be. We'll be making a big announcement in a couple weeks about where we're going to be. And Power Rising is a gathering place by, for, and about Black women. And we come together to talk about the issues that concern us, to talk about our strategy and action plans for the future. And of course, we have the most spontaneous, most amazing dance parties there ever is. And so it's a place where Black women come together to teach, to learn, to grow, and to love on one another, and to be refueled for the fights we have ahead. You can visit us at our website, powerrising.org, and stay tuned. Sign up for the email list so you'll be first to know when and where Power Rising is going to gather.
All right, thank you so much. And then that targetfast.org, the Target Fast is March 5th to April 17th. That's during Lent season, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. It coincides with the Lenten season, takes us right to Easter, 40 days. And if you go to targetfast.org, the reason I like this fast is because it's clear about a timeline, about what we're asking for, so we will know whether we have met the goal and met the mark. The only thing worse than a bad boycott is a failed boycott. So we want to make sure that this one is successful. So it's targeted, it's measurable, it's achievable if we all do our part.
Thank you so much, Bishop Daughtry. And we'd love to have you back to come back when I Am Power Rising releases its dates and speakers. We'd love to have you back to talk about it.
Absolutely. It's good to see y'all. Take good care.
You too.
Thanks
God
for
bless.
joining us. Wow. You had fun.
I had church. I got church, you know. My spirit is better. I'm going to pray for thy will to be done. Thy will be done, Lord, on earth as it is in heaven.
I like what Quinn said, Mr. Durrett, and I didn't get to it when it was mentioned, but he said, if someone cannot defend their own wife, how could you believe they could defend others? And so right there. I mean, that is not just a sign of it's evidence, pure evidence of a weak man. I want to get to before we move forward. There's a couple of little items I wanted to bring up. One is the Epstein files. So there's, as I suspected, and there's a report, and I believe the report is kind of being suppressed, but there's a report that suggests that they have already removed the names that they wanted to remove from the Epstein flight logs and things of that nature. Now, what's interesting about that is, redacted lists have been released in the past that had certain names on it, including the president. And it's going to be interesting to see whose names they removed from this. So we know Trump was on that list. So if it comes out and you don't see Trump's name on it, come on.
Yeah, we know a few more names too, and he's going to hold that over those individuals' heads to keep them quiet and silent. And we won't be hearing from those folks, I can guarantee you.
Yeah,
former presidents and all.
The other thing I wanted to mention this morning, because I'm petty, Cardi B, in her defamation suit, Tasha K was ordered to pay in monthly installments. She's got to pay her something like 40, not monthly, but quarterly, $40,000 quarterly until she pays her off entirely. And it's going to amount to 1.2 million, a little, less than what Cardi had originally won in the judgment, but she agreed to the 1.2 million because that means that she has to start paying it immediately. Natasha's saying that she only has a net worth of $60,000, and Cardi's like, I could care less. And guess what? I'm with her all the way on that.
Well,
All the way.
I know Tasha K also just settled with Kevin Hart a week or two ago. Whatever the judgment or settlement was, it was undisclosed.
And you can't
and
just go around doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Just because
Well,
they're
I mean,
celebrities.
this is the time that we live in, and it's just funny how bigger entities can get away with it, but a Tasha K got to pay.
Well, you went, you barked up the wrong tree. You FAFO. But the stuff that she said about Cardi B, I'm not totally aware of everything she said about Kevin Hart, but what she said about it was clearly actionable. You can't call her a prostitute. You can't say definitively, because I mean there was no evidence that she ever worked as a prostitute. But also to say that she was giving people STDs. That if that doesn't cross the line, listen, that's this awful thing to say because you don't like someone. My question became, and I don't think that they know each other personally. Why did it become so personal?
Love and hip hop, gossip. I mean, I have no comment on this story. I have no comment. I mean, Tasha K gonna Tasha K and Cardi gonna Cardi. Okay, she gonna Cardi B it.
She gonna Cardi B it. But yeah, these things they spark my curiosity. That's all. It's nothing. I don't report on it. I don't write on it. It's just it is what it is, as they say. But
we just want Cardi to drop that album. Okay, we waiting on that album, Cardi B. That's what we want.
Right, but more importantly, you said it at the top of the show. I don't care if you're black or not, if you're Tasha K or whatever. You need to come to credible news sources. People need to come to credible news sources, and that's where I was really getting at by bringing that up, because it's just it's so bad now that folks should be seeking real information. I also wanted to mention, and Greer really wants us to mention this too, because it's extremely important. Tennessee State University and its financing crisis, they're saying that they could close up totally by the spring. And so, and it will be another HBCU, going down. And this, again, this is as you called it, a FAFO thing, because you had an administration prior to this that was supporting these HBCUs like no other administration had previously. And then you get this guy, everything anti-black, anti-brown, anti-diversity, period. And now we're starting to see the payment come due. Unfortunately, they're in the crossfire.
What I would like to see happen with these HBCUs, because when you look at PWIs, their alumni and the contributions that they get are in the millions, right? And I'll be the first to say, attending an HBCU, alumni, they don't do a good job at giving back to the institutions. Now, we'll pull up for homecoming, we'll pull up for spring break, we'll go to Bayou Classic. But as far as sewing back into the institution, we have to do better. Because just think about if the alumni alone at TSU, every alumni gave $100. Just everybody gave $100, $50, $20. That would help the college. And so sometimes we have to look within ourselves to take care of ourselves. And so I think this is a good opportunity to push for alumni to start taking care of our HBCU institutions. We know that we need the federal funding, but we know what we're dealing with. So now we got to go back to the village. You know, it takes a village. Alumni, TSU needs you to pull up, and they need you to start dropping 20s, 50s, but preferably hundreds. If everybody gave $100 through the course of that institution, they could be sustained.
Oh, I don't know the numbers, but RNG says TSU is underfunded by $2.1 billion. I mean, does that sound it sounds like more than alumni have to
well, we gotta fact check that. But I'm
Yeah.
telling you, if the alumni would start,
Yeah,
Oprah Winfrey is an alumni. She could give $5 million.
or
Drop
better,
it like
yes.
that.
So I'm seeing several reports from September and one as recently as January 7th that TSU is indeed underfunded by $2.1 billion, as RNG says, including Inside Higher Ed and the Tennessean newspaper, as well as News Channel 5 in Nashville, is saying that, yes, indeed, $2.1 billion.
You still got to start somewhere. You
got to start somewhere. I agree.
And I think it starts with home. And like I said, I'll be the first. You know, we pull up for homecoming, we pull up for spring break, we pull up for Bayou Classic, for the picnics. Well, not picnics, cookouts. We don't say picnic, cookouts. And so we just need to do a better job at being better stewards of our institutions. Just like the white folks at PWIs.
She says Oprah's not like her.
I love Oprah.
But you know, but the thing about it is, Oprah and those folks, their day of reckoning is coming. And I say this like meaning this, that their day of reckoning, meaning that at some point they're gonna have to make a decision too. Are we gonna step up and support the Black community in a more robust way? Are we going to step up and support the Black press, because we know we need that, because nobody else is going to preserve the history? They're erasing the history,
right?
And the only keepers of the history is Black-owned media at this point. And I think that the danger is waiting until it's too late. It's not. This is something we've been preaching long before this crisis about these Black entrepreneurs, Black billionaires, Black celebrities, because most of them got their start through the Black press. They got known through the Black press. At least they got their first ink through the Black press. Somebody writing about them, talking about them, and many of them will tell you that. So it's not just hyperbole. Oh gosh, I was about to say something crazy. So, but I think that moment is fast approaching where they're going to have to make a decision. It's one of those, as we've been talking about, those Harriet Tubman decisions.
Okay.
So I really believe that.
But alumni, let's pull up to our HBCUs and do better. Yeah, do better. And you brought up history, so let's give a few Black history moments before we get up out of here. I'll let you start.
100%. Well, speaking of Black colleges, historical Black colleges, on this date in 1837, Cheney University of Pennsylvania, located near Cheney, Pennsylvania, of course, was founded, making it the oldest predominantly African-American institution of higher education in the United States. It was originally known as the African Institute, and it was renamed the Institute of Colored Youth in 1852.
I'm going to bounce a few years ahead on this date. In 1870, Hiram R. Revels of Mississippi was sworn in as the first Black U.S. Senator and first Black representative in Congress.
Well, I'm going to go back. On this date in 1842, Charles Lennox Remond became one of the first African Americans to give testimony before a state legislature when he addressed the committee of the Massachusetts House of Representatives investigating discrimination in public transportation.
Now, on this date in 1948, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was ordained as a Baptist minister.
Wow. Well, in 1964, on this date, Muhammad Ali defeated Sonny Liston for the World Heavyweight Championship. The greatest made his claim, staked his claim to being the greatest with that one, I should say.
You see him right there. There he is. There
And what a shot that is. Wow, what a shot. And if you recall, when he knocked him down, he hit him, and as he was going down, Ali could have hit him a couple more times, but he just took in that moment and watched his opponent fall.
All right. And on this date in 1975, the death of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was 77, leader of the Nation of Islam in Chicago, died, and he was succeeded by his son, Wallace D. Muhammad.
I didn't realize, Neil, that Elijah Muhammad was just 77 years old when he passed away.
I didn't either.
Yeah,
I love
thought he
these
was
Black
older.
History moments.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff. On this date in 1987, NAACP leader Edward Daniel Nixon died.
All right, and then you just spoke about Muhammad Ali, but on this date in 1989, when boxing was at the height and everybody loved it, Mike Tyson won the heavyweight title. That's when boxing was fun, and you just wanted to go to Vegas to go to the fight.
Yeah, I think that was, yeah, it was actually, and it was in its waning years, though, when you look back on it, because only a few years was left before it really died out, and it was no longer, because the great years, of course, was the 70s and 80s.
Sugar Ray
70s,
Leonard,
right? Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns, Roberta Durant, all those guys, and of course in the 70s,
Holyfield. Isn't that the one that got his ear bit off by Mike Tyson? Holyfield.
What did he do it twice?
I don't
I thought he did
remember.
it twice, but yeah, he definitely got his ear bit off. He said the last time, Orangey said that was the last time Tyson had any sense. That's it. That's the only reason why he gets sort of a pass. Tyson does, because it's not there. It's not. He has no clue from one day to the next.
I think he has a lot of common sense.
You think so?
I do. I think he has sense.
I think
He's just a little
so many
crazy.
blows. Not a little. He's way crazy.
I think he has more sense than Kanye West.
Okay, but that's not hard. Listen, on this date, 1991, Adrienne Mitchell, the first African American woman to die in combat in the Persian Gulf War, is killed in her military barracks in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, sad. That's a sad anniversary.
But we remember her and we say her name because she contributed to American history. Black history is always woven with American history. 100%. Can't have one without the other. And on this date in 1998, now I can separate the art from the person.
Well, you can.
So
Okay.
we're going to uplift this moment because this was a great song. On this date in 1998, R. Kelly's I Believe I Can Fly won 3 Grammys.
Wow, it's a shame. What a talent, and not just vocally, but this guy was a talent songwriter. R. Kelly could write the heck out of a song, and I mean, wow, it's just a shame that these folks with all that talent. What's that movie from Bronx Tale, where it said wasted talent, nothing's worse than wasted talent. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And on this date in 1999, white supremacist John King, one of 3 white men accused of chaining James Byrd to a pickup truck and dragging him along a Texas road until he was decapitated, was sentenced to death by lethal injection. Oh gosh.
C'est la vie.
And, yeah. And it was to be the first. He would be He was to be the first white Texan executed for killing a black person since the end of slavery.
Mm.
Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm.
Because and so when again, that's why, I mean, it didn't happen then, but that's why later that slogan and organization, Black Lives Matter, took on a real meaning. Because they had you would not kill a white man for killing a black man. And so to them it didn't matter. And that's why you had folks when they would say, well, all lives matter or blue lives matter or whatever, you understood that either they didn't understand or they was just being racist or they just was being antagonistic when they was interweaving or interjecting those other sayings, because black lives just in this country, even by this country's laws and even by this country's constitution, black lives did not matter.
Yeah, and we still have to fight for them to matter, whether it be our jobs, whether it be our health, whether it be our finances. Um, we still have to fight for our lives to matter.
Well, and again, as we talked about with our great guest this morning, today Congress is going to try and pass legislation that includes stripping down and almost gutting Medicaid and Medicare, as well as taking away SNAP benefits and other things like that. So it's hard times, Neil.
Right. But it to Bishop Daughtry's point, God is up to something, and we do. I mean, I ask these questions, about how to pray and things like that, because sometimes I am challenged, but I know God is up to something. And if he brought us through from the Bible to slavery to civil rights, he gonna bring us through this. But we just have to be available and ready to do what we need to do to make things happen.
Well, make it happen. Make it happen. So yesterday, at the urging or behest of Orangey, when he injected JJ Fad in the conversation, we got a little vocals from the L. You forgot? You forgot? So naturally, I was wondering if you were going to take us out with some vocals this morning.
No, but you are going to take us out with the black paper of the day.
Okay,
I'm going to toss that back to you. What's the black paper of the day?
Look how she got out of that. Look how she got out of that. The black paper of the day is the Savannah Tribune, which will be celebrating, is celebrating 150 years in 2025. The Savannah Tribune, and just think about that for a moment. We got about a minute or so left. Just think about that. 150-year-old Black-owned newspaper. Now, the Black Press itself is 198 years old. So this is one of the oldest Black-owned newspapers ever, the Savannah Tribune. And they're actually going to have a huge celebration during the National Newspaper Publishers Association's annual convention, summer convention, in June, because the date of their anniversary actually falls when the conference is, the week of June 24th. Yeah. So and there's Tanya Milton, and gosh, they're gonna kill me for forgetting the actual publisher's name in the middle, but Bobby, you watching? What's her name, Bobby? But the Savannah, that's a lot. So we're going down to Savannah, and I'm going to tell you something. I have never been to Savannah, Georgia.
I haven't either. I've never been, but I'm excited to go.
Yeah, I'm thinking about taking the train though.
I'm afraid to fly.
That's my
I'm
point.
really.
That's my point.
The anxiety is just like, but
yeah,
I will be there to celebrate Black history, Black excellence, and the contributions of what the Black press has done for our community. And so, like we were talking earlier, and we started the show in celebrating the contributions of Joy Reid to MSNBC. We hate to see her go, but one thing that has always remained, whether you see our faces in mainstream media or not, is the Black press. 198 years of telling our stories.
We really want to make it to 200. We want to make it to 200, y'all. So help us make it to 200. That's Shirley James is the publisher there in the middle in the nice purple jacket there. Shirley James, Tanya Milton is I believe Tanya is the managing editor there at the Savannah Tribune. Great newspaper. So check out the Savannah Tribune, like all of our papers, really. You can go online and check them out. You don't have to live in the area to get news from them. And again, as you said, this is the only place you're going to really get real, true, and truth to power news is the Black press.
And it's 100% Black owned. Okay. We don't have to worry about nobody telling us what we can and cannot do. So support us in the mornings. Okay. And then in the evenings, you can go check out Roland Martin from 6 to 8. I think it's Eastern Standard Time. And then we have Andrew Gillum, Angela Rye, Tiffany Cross on Thursdays with Native Pod. And so we'll be here telling you where you can get your news from a Black perspective that's unapologetic, and you don't have to worry about us getting canceled.
There's Don Lemon as well.
Oh, Don Lemon. Yeah, I forgot about Don Lemon. Did you see him drop the F-bomb yesterday? Oh, my gosh. So he gave Megyn Kelly the middle finger, okay? But he said it. I'm like, Teslin. Greer brought up Teslin over at Revolt. Yeah, she's doing news every Thursday. She has a show. So we're here, and
I'm gonna throw a couple more out there. Bobby Henry's watching, so you got the 2-minute warning on Thursday nights on the West Side Gazette's YouTube page. You got Denise Rolock Barnes' Win TV on Fridays.
Lauren Burke. We got Make It Plain with our very own Mark Thompson.
Yeah, so you got options, folks. You got real options with Black 100%, as Neil said, 100% Black owned. So check it out. And check us out every morning. And we appreciate you guys subscribing to our YouTube page because I've noticed that you guys have been listening and you have been subscribing. So thanks a lot for that. We really appreciate it. We're going to check them out tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow.
Yes.
Peace and love.
See you then.
His word killing me softly. Come on. With his song. Roberta Flack, take it to the bridge.